He stole her love. She let him think he'd stolen everything else, too. But when Sa uncovers a tangled web of deceit, betrayal, and a shadowy woman named Ilia Moro, she doesn't crumble, she fights. What began as a marriage unravels into a high-stakes war of identity, revenge, and survival. Because this isn't just Asamai, name is Sa, and this is the story of how my husband thought he could outsmart me. It didn't start with a bombshell, no lipstick on a collar, or hushed phone calls with a lover. It started with something smaller, whispers in the dark, unfamiliar bank transactions. And a name, Ilia Moro, that I'd never heard before. My husband, Dean, wasn't just planning to leave me, he was planning to take everything, but he underestimated me. He thought I would crumble. Instead, I moved first. I protected what was mine. 1 week later, his entire plan backfired. But what hurt most wasn't just the betrayal, it was realizing how long he had been orchestrating it. How many lies he'd fed me, and how willing he was to destroy me to get what he wanted. I woke to an empty bed. The sheets beside me were cold. I stared at the ceiling, trying to rationalize his absence. Bathroom, kitchen. But then I heard it, a low voice, barely a whisper. Just a little longer. She doesn't suspect anything yet. I froze mid-step, hovering in the hallway, barely breathing. Dean's voice was calm, almost soothing, like he was comforting someone. I couldn't make out the reply. But the chill down my spine deepened. When his footsteps approached, I bolted back to bed, sliding under the covers just in time. My heart pounded like a war drum as he re-entered the room and settled beside me. I kept my eyes closed, breathing slow and even. "Where were you?" I asked, voice groggy. "Bathroom," he muttered, "and the phone call. Just a client. Had to smooth out some details for a case." Liar, he didn't even flinch. But that phrase echoed in my head. She doesn't suspect anything yet. I played along for now. The next morning, Dean was still asleep. I tiptoed to the kitchen, phone in hand. I rarely checked our accounts. Dean managed the finances, but something gnawed at me. $500, $1,200, $750, $2,000. The numbers blurred, but the pattern was clear. Consistent withdrawals over 3 months. Small, but enough to build suspicion. "Morning," Dean said suddenly, leaning against the doorway. I locked my screen. "What's for breakfast?" I was about to ask you the same. He poured coffee casually, too casually. I checked our bank account. His grip on the mug tightened, a split-second flicker before the smile returned. "Just small investments," he said. "Business opportunities. Nothing to worry about." But I was worried. Every time I glanced at him, he was texting, calling, someone, always out of earshot. The secrecy enveloped our home like a fog. That night, he left his phone unlocked. Unattended for the first time in weeks. A text popped up. "Ilia Moro. Just make sure she stays in the dark." Almost there my heart stopped. Ilia Moro. The name gnawed at me like a splinter. I rehearsed rational explanations. Business partner. Colleague. But deep down, I knew better. The next morning, Dean asked me to sign something. "Just some financial updates," he said, sliding a stack of papers across the table. But as I scanned the documents, I realized it was a property transfer agreement. My savings, the condo, everything, into his name. "What is this?" I asked, voice cold. "Just a precaution," he said, eyes flickering. "I'm not signing this." His smile thinned. "Don't be dramatic, Sa." "Then why push me to sign without reading it?" His jaw twitched. He leaned in. "You don't want to do this. Is that a threat?" He leaned back, arms crossed, eyes dark. "I just think you're making this harder than it needs to be." But I was already planning my next move. He thought I was a pawn in his game. He was wrong. Dean thought he still held all the cards, like I was a piece on his carefully crafted chessboard. But when I smiled, just a flicker, I saw him shift. His jaw twitched, fingers tapping a beat on the table. He expected tears, outrage, and collapse. Instead, I said, "You're right, I do need to think about this." I picked up the documents and walked away, not looking back. That night, Dean played his role, the loving husband, relaxed, making drinks and scrolling his phone. But beneath that act was calculation, not connection. I watched him, and for the first time, I didn't see a man. I saw a predator. The next morning, over coffee, he made his move. "I think we should separate," he said. The words landed with surgical precision. He didn't flinch, didn't falter, just dropped the line, like a speech he'd rehearsed for months. You've been planning this, haven't you? A flicker of guilt quickly masked. We've grown apart. He said no. You want out without losing anything. I already moved my assets, I said calmly. His eyes flared. What do you mean? Exactly, what it sounds like. The realization hit him. All his planning, every manipulation, undone. He tried to hide it, but I saw the fear. You'll regret this, he said, voice cold. But I didn't. I was ready. The next morning, a knock came, official, sharp. A man handed me an envelope. You've been served. Dean wanted half. Of everything. The condo, the car, joint assets, and spousal support. I laughed. Bitterly. He was burning the house down because he couldn't steal it. My lawyer, Patricia, flipped through the documents. He's got nothing. You moved everything legally before the filing. This is just noise. Relief. Not victory yet, but a step. That evening, Dean stormed in. Rage was written in the lines of his jaw. You think you're smart. I think I'm finally protecting myself. You planned this, so did you? This isn't over. He was right. It wasn't. It started at work. Whispers, accusations. My assistant Rachel stepped in nervously. There's a rumor that you're laundering money. Dean's been spreading it. He wasn't just trying to take my money. He was trying to destroy my name. Patricia reviewed the screenshots. He's opening himself to defamation. We send a desist, but Beatrice, her colleague, gave better advice. Don't react. Don't let him control the narrative. I didn't. I confronted him calmly. At LaRue, his favorite upscale restaurant. You have no idea what you've started, I whispered. Let's see what you've got. He wanted a war. Fine, Patricia called. Urgent. Dean filed for a financial audit. He claims you mismanaged joint funds. He didn't want justice. He wanted to wear me down. We countered immediately. In court, he smiled like he still had the upper hand. But Patricia was surgical, and the judge ruled. Motion denied. Dean was ordered to pay legal fees. Outside, he passed by and hissed, You think this is over? Just wait. The next call from Patricia chilled me. Dean and Ilya filed a fraud complaint. They submitted forged documents. It could have worked, except they slipped. Beatrice noticed. The accounts didn't exist at the time of the alleged transfers. We go on the offensive, I said. I want to bury them. Patricia smiled. We can. Patricia presented the evidence. Doctored documents, false timestamps, fraudulent claims. The forensic analyst testified. The judge listened. Patricia dropped the bomb. We countersued for defamation and falsifying legal evidence. Dean's lawyer panicked. My client wishes to withdraw his claims. Too late. Motion dismissed. Dean was ordered to pay full legal costs. Dean said nothing as he left. Just walked past, defeated. We done here, I whispered. 2 days later, Patricia handed me the final papers. He signed. You keep everything. I finally exhaled. Margot threw a dinner. Beatrice raised her glass. To never letting a man think he can outsmart you. Later that night, on my balcony, the Chicago skyline shimmered. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Blocked. I turned to my laptop and opened a new document. My story. My future. Life tests us when we least expect it. The deepest betrayals often come from the ones we trust most. But strength is not avoiding betrayal, it's what you do afterward. I didn't just fight for money. I fought for my dignity, my voice, my future, and if you're reading this, know that you are stronger than you think. Have you ever had to fight when everything seemed against you? Share your story. Drop a 1 in the comments if this resonated, and don't forget to subscribe. There's more to come. Until next time, stay strong, stay smart, and never let anyone take your power. The name Ilya Morrow wouldn't leave me alone, even with the court victories, the return of my assets, and Dean's forced silence. Her name lingered like a ghost, haunting, unfinished. 2 weeks after Dean signed the final agreement, I received a letter. No return address, just my name in precise handwriting. Inside, a single sheet of paper with 3 typed words. You think it's over? No signature, no explanation. Just dread. I showed it to Patricia. She took a photo for the records but didn't say much. Ilya's real, I said, and she's not done. Patricia nodded slowly. Then we find her, before she finds you. I hired a private investigator. Vincent Morrow, a quiet, meticulous man who never wasted words. After 2 days, he brought a name, a face, and a trail of buried data. Ilya Morrow, dual citizenship. Romania, and the US. 3 different passports. 5 shell companies. No known occupation. Linked to financial fraud rings overseas but never charged. She's not just Dean's fling, Vincent said. She's a professional, and she plays long games. One of the companies she controlled, a silent investor in a startup that Dean had pitched to me last year. One I declined to fund, so this was bigger, colder, coordinated. Rachel, my assistant, found an anomaly in our client's CRM. A ghost user hidden credentials buried in our SYSTEMI traced the digital trail to an off-site login. Someone had been monitoring my calendar, email, and client leads. For months, I confronted it. They traced the IP back to a co-working space on the south side, rented under the name Morrow Ventures LLC. I felt the chill deep in my bones. Ilya wasn't just watching, she was preparing something. It came fast, a call from one of our top clients, abrupt termination of contract. Then another. Then to board members at my firm, requested a closed-door review of my conduct. Anonymous complaints. Fabricated emails. Misrepresented conversations. Rachel met me after the meeting, pale. It's not random, she said. Someone's coordinating this. Dean, he doesn't have the reach, but Ilya, she might. My position at the firm was officially under internal review. Patricia looked furious. They're trying to destroy your credibility. If they can't win in court, they'll bury you in rumors. I nodded slowly. Then I'll play their game. But I'll choose the ending. Vincent delivered a package. Inside, photos, financial logs, surveillance tapes. Dean and Ilya, together, hotel footage, cafes, airports, a small villa in Nice, France, where they met a man connected to a cybercriminal syndicate. Patricia flipped through the images. This isn't a love affair. This is corporate espionage. We filed a federal complaint. Fraud, cyber intrusion, conspiracy. Vincent compiled everything. We named Ilya and Dean. You want to go public with this? Patricia asked. Not yet, I said. I want them to believe they've won. I sent Dean a message through our lawyer. I'm willing to talk. Privately, he replied in minutes. We met at the rooftop of the Madison Hotel, his choice. I wore a wire. Vincent was parked across the street, listening. Dean was smug and relaxed. You were never built for this game, Sa. Neither were you, I replied. You just borrowed someone who was. He grinned. She says hi. By the way, tell her she chose the wrong target. He raised an eyebrow. We'll see. 3 days later, federal agents raided Ilya's rental apartment in D.C., but she was gone, vanished. Dean, however, was taken in. Not for long, but long enough for the media to get wind. Headlines broke. The firm rescinded the review against me. My name was cleared. I was rehired, promoted, but Ilya, she was still out there. Vincent called one night. You need to see this. A screenshot, security footage from a Paris train station. Timestamp, yesterday. Ilia, smiling, looking directly into the camera. I stood on the balcony again. The skyline felt different now. Not safe, not threatening, just watchful. Ilya was still out there. Dean was silenced, legally bound, stripped of his assets, but it wasn't over. Not yet. I had built everything back. Reputation, wealth, control. But the final page hadn't turned. And the next chapter, it wasn't mine alone. I turned off the lights and waited. She stood just behind the glass. Not literally, but it felt like that. Ilya Morrow, more than a name now, more than a threat. A phantom who moved with precision, who anticipated my steps before I made them. A woman who wanted more than revenge, she wanted erasure. Vincent had gone dark. Not missing, just off the grid. Too risky, he said. Too quiet. Patricia kept her focus on federal agents, but I could sense her concern. If she resurfaces, it'll be because she wants to, and when she does, we'd better be ready. But Ilya didn't wait to be hunted. She hunted. My office was too quiet. Rachel was out sick. The hallway was empty. I closed my laptop for the night and stood up, glancing around. The silence felt staged, like someone had turned down the volume on the world. The note was waiting for me in the glove compartment of my car. Folded cream-colored. Typed. You owe me a conversation. Madison, 3 a.m. rooftop. No name, no signature. But I knew. Chapter 21. High above the truth, the rooftop wind whipped my coat around me. She was already there. In black, hair pinned, face sharper than I remembered from the footage. You came, she said. You asked. She smiled. Do you think you've won? Saw. I think I'm still standing. For now, but the game's bigger than you know. Dean was a tool, a blunt one. I was the edge. I didn't flinch, and now, what's left of your edge? Just enough. I can vanish. You can't. You've made yourself to public. She took a step closer. But I admire you. You didn't crumble. Not like most. You tried to end me. No, she said. I tried to test you. Then she tossed something on the ground, a flash drive. Proof of everything Dean planned. Everything he never told you. Consider it a gift. And then she walked away. I didn't stop her. The files were encrypted. Vincent resurfaced just long enough to break through the layers. Inside, recordings. Dean's voice. Boardroom meetings. Messages to Ilya. Mentions of accounts hidden in Switzerland, offshore assets, and pre-signed documents I never saw. And a plan to transfer my digital identity, lock, stock, and shadow. He didn't just want to take my money. He wanted to take my heart. He wanted to be me. Patricia said, we take this to the feds. Dean's immunity agreement doesn't cover this. I agreed, but I also made a copy. Dean was arrested again. This time, without press, without warnings, quiet. Brutal Ilya vanished again. No trace. But the rumors whispered louder now. Her face popped up in London. Then Prague, a cruise manifest in Greece. A gala in Sydney. She was gone, but always close. I doubled my passwords. Changed my devices. Moved to a new apartment. Vincent built me a digital firewall so high that even he called it paranoid, but I slept, sometimes. 6 months later. I sat in the boardroom, now mine. The firm was thriving. Rachel was promoted. Patricia was a partner. Vincent disappeared again, but I knew how to reach him. The last client of the day shook my hand and said, I heard what you went through. Glad you came out the other side. I smiled, but deep inside, I knew the truth. There is no other side. Just a mirror, you keep watching, in case the reflection moves first. A year to the day after Dean's arrest, I received one more envelope. Inside was a photo, Ilya holding a child. On the back, we all leave something behind. I burned it, watched the ashes scatter off my balcony. Sometimes, survival isn't about fighting. Sometimes it's about knowing when to stop looking over your shoulder, and when to finally turn around. Thank you for reading the full series, In the Shadow of Betrayal. If this story moved you, share your thoughts below. Drop A if you've ever had to rebuild from nothing. Subscribe for more real, raw, and powerful stories. Because sometimes, the ones who break us also teach us how to rebuild stronger.